How are we constructed? We are built layers after layers. Each layers is covering up the layers which is below. You have a level of anger. Why do you have below anger? Of course, you have a repressed fear. If you do acknowledge the fear and you accept the fear, most of the anger will disappear. If we want to change our psychological behavior, if we want to explore ourselves, we have to dig into our layers of identification. The first layers of identification we are built on is a primary pain. The primary pain we did encounter when we left our mother's womb. When we were in our mother's womb, we were fish floating in the amniotic liquid. When we did encounter birth, we did encounter birth with pain. That first pain is our first layers of identification. We are all built, our ego structure is built on that first layers of pain we did identified with. It seems that the best available concept to tag that first layers of repressed pain we are built on seems to be guilt. And I would like you to pay attention for 2-3 minutes to get a glimpse about how the repressed guilt is moving in your life on a day-to-day basis. Most of the time, you can't see the guilt because the task of the hand consciousness is to hide it. But if you learn how to observe yourself, you'll spot guilt because guilt will appear irrelevant to the situation you encounter. And I will give you a couple of examples to enlighten that. The first example is an example everybody knows. Everybody knows about survivor's guilt. A human drama. A number of men survive, most of them are killed. Auschwitz, Mauthausen, the tsunami, September 11. Everybody remembers that fireman on September 11 saying, "All my friends died, I feel so guilty." Everybody knows about survivor's guilt. Let's take another example. The example of a child, 9, 10, 11, his parents divorce. Parents divorce because one of the parents fell in love, this couple is breaking up. We all know that mechanically this child will feel guilty. What technically happens? The shock of the trauma on the battlefield, September 11, has blown the universe, has blown the system of identification of the men which were there. For the child, 9 years old, 10 years old, it's exactly the same thing. His universe is blown away. What happened technically? The first repressed layers comes out and takes an identification in order to reinforce the ego structure. Because the ego structure only functions by identification, subject-object. Let's take another example. A child, 3, 4, 5. Something negative happens. Another child cries, a vase is broken. Is not linked to it. We'll see that mechanically it makes the link and takes the blame. The repressed guilt is still active. It's not completely covered up like it will be covered up by after 7, 8 or 9. So guilt seems to be the most appropriate concept to tag that first layers of energy we are built on. And if we want to enlighten the subject a little bit more, we can consider the system of belief we have developed in Judaism, in Christianity, in Islam, that idea of a transcendent God who appears to be a parental substitute, reproducing reward and punishment. And this transcendent God gives us law we all disobey to a degree. Does that reinforce the system of guilt? Now, let's consider another system of belief. India, China, the concept of karma. You are in that system of belief and something very negative happens to you. You have an accident or you lose someone dear to you or something negative happens. Mechanically, you'll jump to the conclusion that what has happened is a result of your bad karma. What does that mean? A negative act interacting in your life today. Does that reinforce the system of guilt? So it appears we have built archetype of belief, which reinforce the guilt. That's why guilt seems to be the most appropriate concept to define the base of our repressed behavior.